In this video, we're going to review the various options for connecting up to an LS HMI remotely. So first off, we kind of already did a webinar on HMI overview, so we're not going to go over the differences between the IXP2 and the EXP series, which is what we stock here in the US. So we're going to assume that you already know that. So instead, we're going to be talking about why you would want to remotely monitor stuff. And the main reason is because of, ease of use. It's easily accessible and it's convenient. So we could control devices from the HMI remotely. So you're pretty much remotely logging into your HMI. And what you need is you need an HMI, of course, and you would need the HMI connected to a local network, which if you'd like to access it remotely, truly remotely, like off-site, then you would need that local network to be connected to the internet. You need to set up some port forwarding. But you could just do a local network. That's actually what my setup is here that I'm going to show you guys a little bit later. You could also do email functionality. We're not going to do an example of this, but we do have some documents online and stuff I could show you. But with email enabled, you could send logging backup files, alarm history, and then trip conditions. So if something ever goes wrong, you could trigger an alert via email. So this is probably the most common question we get here is what products support the remote connections. So we have the EXP series HMI and the IXP2, and a lot of people say, oh, only the IXP2 supports it, but actually even the more entry-level EXP series does support remote connections. It supports the web server, the VNC, the XP remote, all the stuff that we're going to talk about. And also all sizes support it. So even the small 4.3-inch HMI, you could remote into that. It has all the same features as a 15-inch IXP2. So there's really no limitations based on the series of HMIs. So kind of as mentioned, what's required is you need to connect the HMI via Ethernet to your local network. So both the EXP and the IXP2 do have built-in Ethernet ports on the back. That's kind of what we're showing you right here. This is an EXP series HMI. The IXP2 has a dual port while the EXP has a single Ethernet port. So you just need to connect it up to your network. And then additionally, you have your RS 422, 485, 232, which you could connect to, whatever PLC or controller or any type of device you're connecting to. And then what you're going to need is you're going to need the XP Manager software, and this is required to set up all the drivers for the remote connection. And you could download this right off of our website, and like most of our software, there's no cost for XP Manager, just like the XP Builder program. So there's 3 different kinds of ways you could connect, or different mediums. The first is the XP Remote Viewer, and the XP Remote Viewer is a software used to remotely monitor the XGT panel, and it's connected over Ethernet, and then you enable the remote viewing from the XGT runtime settings. So that's when you press anywhere on the screen that's blank, hold your finger there, go into the settings, and you enable this. I'll show you guys how you do that when we get to our live demo. And XP Remote, you could control an XGT panel, or you could monitor it. You could kind of set up what you want to do, and you could actually lock it out with a password. So you could say, hey, you can monitor only unless you enter in a password, then you could control it. So you got a little bit of security and multiple levels in there that you could set up. And then we could have 4 devices connect to one XGT panel, so one HMI at the same time, simultaneously. Web server. So web server is convenient because it's very easy to use, but I'd also say it's not the most convenient because you need to use Internet Explorer, which has ActiveX installed, which is kind of like an older, I guess, add-on for Internet Explorer. So this one is possible, but you kind of got to set it up right, which I actually don't set this up because there's too many security things that pop up for it. So instead I use the VNC, which is what we talk about next. But the nice thing about this is that if you do have an older Internet Explorer browser that has the ActiveX extension installed, you could easily just pop in your IP address to the HMI, and it'll It'll give you the possibility to download the backup files, do some monitoring, do some control, save things into a CSV file. And then you could also set up some security, which they're listing on the bottom here. So you could just do device monitoring or control. You could access who, or limit who has access to the HMI as well. And the third and the last option we have for remoting in is the VNC. This one I tend to like the most because it's the most flexible. Same thing, you connect your HMI to the internet or a local network via Ethernet, and then you could connect from a phone with like the VNC app or a tablet, or you could connect right from your computer through the XP Manager software, which I'll show you. So yeah, very nice, intuitive, easy to use. I think a lot of people like to check stuff on their phone nowadays and just download an app. So on the bottom, that picture, that blue VNC icon, that's actually the app that I typically use, and you should be able to find on any of the app stores or whatever. So it gives you the ability to access the drive or the HMI anywhere where there's internet access, and you do some port forwarding for that. And then you could also set it up for multiple HMIs. But here's my setup right here. So I have an HMI. This is an EXP60. So this is a 10-inch HMI. So this HMI is connected over a serial connection to an H100. This is our new H100 Plus program that we've been working on and demonstrating quite a bit lately. And the only thing connected on the back is the Ethernet cable to the local network, and then the serial cable going to the H100. So my computer, which is kind of over here, is just on the Wi-Fi. So there's no hardwired connection. So pretty much we're going to connect to this HMI over the Wi-Fi. First thing you're going to want to do is kind of figure out how you're going to access the HMI and what your network information is. Okay. So what I like to do is open up a command prompt, and then you could do an IP config. Okay. And then you're going to get all of the information about you're going to get all of the information about the network that you're on. So in particular, I said I was going to use the Wi-Fi. So that's a 192.168.1.14. Okay. So you want these first three octets to be the same on your computer that they are on the HMI. So my HMI over here is actually a 111. Okay. So I already set it up on the HMI. You just do that in the runtime settings. Very easy. Just find the Ethernet stuff and then set it to 192.168.111. So I'm going to make sure that I can connect to the HMI before I do anything. So you would do a ping 192.168.111. And again, this IP address I already set up on my HMI. Whoops, and I missed a character. So it's going to time out because I mistyped it. So that's a good example of when it wouldn't work. All right, there we go. So 100% loss. So if I type it in correctly, 192.168.1.111. There we go. So I'm getting responses right away. So 4 successful responses, 0% loss. So now I know I should be able to connect to the HMI. So over here, I actually have XP Builder opened up. Okay. And in XP Builder, under my project settings, I have it set to 192.168.111. Okay. So I actually programmed this HMI over the network as well. So nice and easy. So if we want to set up the HMI for remote access and be able to view and control things, again, we're going to be using the XP Manager software. Okay. So I'm going to close out some of these windows and I'm going to open up the XP Manager. We're currently on version 3.4. All right, so I'm going to do a new project. So I'm going to close this, do a new project. All right, and then once we have our new project here, we could right click and add a node, and I'm going to add an XGT panel, and I'm going to call this an EXP60. Let's just call it pump, since we're running a pump program on here. And you could put in the target IP address, which is a 192. 168.1.111. You want to make sure that's right. And you could manually create the node, or you could automatically create it from the XP builder file I just showed you. But I like to do the auto creation. As long as your IP address is correct, it's going to scan the network and it's going to automatically populate the information on the panel. So I'm going to hit OK. Now everything should connect okay. Yep, succeeded in reading panel file. We could close this. And then on the left right here, here's my EXP60 pump that I set up, okay? So from the factory, none of the drivers for remoting in are set up, okay? So what you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna right click, and then you could manage the drivers. So there's a VNC driver, there's a web server driver. These are all the ways to connect that I just showed you guys in the slides, okay? So if I manage driver, I get this pop-up right here, okay? So very easy to set up. So here at the web server driver settings, we could actually see that the web server is actually already installed at flash memory. And if we wanted to remove it, we'd want to make sure we stop the web server because it may be running. Click the remove and then click setting, and this will go ahead and remove the driver. Okay, it still says installed at flash memory, but if we refresh, now we can see the web server is uninstalled. So installation of the web server, of course, would just be the reverse. Click the drop down, select flash memory, click setting. Successfully transmitted, no errors. We could close this window. I like to leave this checkbox for auto run. And then as soon as you hit start, the HMI is going to run the web server. And we could do the same thing for the VNC. So if I click VNC, so this one actually is uninstalled, so I'm going to go ahead and install it. So we're going to install it to flash memory, hit the setting button. Again, I like the VNC a bit more than the web server. I've had a few issues with that, especially trying to connect over old Internet Explorer. So that should be set up. And we're not running the VNC yet until you set up some of the other stuff. I like to set auto run whenever you start up the panel. So that means the VNC server is going to start automatically. You could hit that. Okay. Then we want to start the server. Okay. And then this button right here, link, that means it's actually going to open up the remote connection. Okay. So right now, this is remotely connected. So this is actually the live demo that you might see on my little video here. Okay, so this screen here on the little video should match up with this big screen I'm sharing with you guys. Okay, so if I hit start, so I just pressed start on the VNC program, and you could see the progress bar go across here. So it'll be like a 1 second delay or so, but nothing too crazy. And so you could just do this for monitoring or for control. So if I just wanted to monitor and see what somebody's doing, you know, out in the factory floor, you could see that they're pressing these buttons here. They're running it in hand. And then you could see what's going on from your computer. And you could do the same thing from your phone as well. That would use the VNC app. Okay. You could do some stuff like screenshots. Hit this little camera button. It'll pop up with a, I think it automatically saves into like a screenshot folder. And then when you're done with this, you're only allowed one VNC connection at a time. So if you wanted to go ahead and connect on your phone, you would have to shut this down properly. Otherwise, if you try connecting again, you're going to get some errors or whatever. All right, so here we have the VNC app. And I actually already have the device set up, 192.168.1.111. If we turn it sideways, it'll look a little bit better, but you can see this screen here matches the screen we're remoting into. So I can run this in hand. Oop, there's a little cursor you move around. Could change our speed. We could zoom out. So I'm going to go ahead and, no battery, adjust my speed. Let's say 55. Speed up here, speed up there. And the same deal on this as when you're running VNC on the computer, is you want to shut down your connection. If you leave your connection open, then it's going to lock you out. So you want to make sure you disconnect. So XP Remote, you'll notice, isn't really here. So the XP Remote, actually, you have to set up from the HMI settings. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start up the VNC. Okay. And then this works just like you're in person in front of the HMI. So I could click on any spot that doesn't have a button. And then I have this little pop-up right here. If I click that computer on the bottom left, it's going to open up the runtime settings. Okay. And then if we go to settings, XP Remote settings. So by default, these boxes are going to be unchecked, so you won't be able to connect remotely. So what I would recommend is checking them. You could set how many users or how many connections you want to allow. You could adjust your timeout. So it defaults to 4, and then you could also enable control with a password. So I'm just going to set a password here of 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. All right, so it should have taken my password. All right, so I'm running the VNC right now. So I'm going to start it up in the program again. And then I'm going to shut off the VNC. And the XP Remote actually uses another program called XP Remote. So if I open up XP Remote, again, XP Remote, you could download off of our website. There's no license or anything like that. It's just free to download. And it already has my correct IP address. You could hit connect. It'll take a minute to do the initial connection. All right, and here we are. So we are remotely connected over XP Remote now. So right now it's set to monitor only. Okay, so I think we need to, if we need to get access to it, request control authority. That's this button up here. Then it asks for the password, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Control authority access granted or success. Now we don't have a little circle and a slash anymore, so we could go through our setup. We could go through all of our parameter settings on our HMI. We could go ahead and change stuff. Okay, so again, this is, I think this is a little bit quicker than VNC, and you get a little bit of security that you could toss in there, so you could set up a password and stuff. So each of the methods has kind of their own benefit to it. Okay. All right, so I just want to end with a couple things here, then we'll open it up for questions for those of you guys that have some. So you could always utilize the knowledge base for HMI support, or you could shoot us an email. We do have the techsupport.us email, which is a shared inbox for me, Jason, and John. All of the catalogs, software, and everything like that's on the website. We used to have an issue with getting the software on our website, but I just got it back up on there yesterday. So hopefully that makes it easier for some of you guys to download. We are stocking plenty of HMIs, so they're readily available when you need them. And we do have quite a few setups, EXP setups, IXP2 demos setups, and then we're gradually getting in more PLCs so we could help, set up different drivers and stuff, whether it's like, Allen Bradley or, generic Modbus or what have you. Thank you again for watching this video. Should you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us via the methods we just listed.